Call the meeting to order at 6:35. First thing that we need to do, I'm going to ask somebody to add an item to the agenda. When we put this together, it slipped through the cracks that we need to correct minutes from February 26th. So if someone would make a motion to add item 7 to address that, the minutes from February 26th, then we
Make a motion to add an item 7 to our minutes for this evening, addressing how we tackle the idea of interviewing candidates for commission.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next item is to approve the minutes from the regular meeting held on March 12th.
So moved.
That's great. I have a correction on that, the very last paragraph. It calls out, Mr. Thompson pointed out that minutes from the, it says March 12th meeting. That was just a copy and paste. It should say February 26th. So if you want to move with that as corrected, then you can go forward.
So moved with correction.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Tax collector reimbursements is next on the agenda. And that is, as we've been doing monthly now, we have refunds for 3 different individuals, totaling $3,395.60. Signed by the tax collector, if we could move to refund that.
Okay.
To send those refunds out.
That's fine, but
I'll make a motion to send the refunds for $3,395.60 to the 3 participants.
Seconded.
okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It's probably what it's been.
Okay, the next on the agenda, we'd spoken about the fact that our superintendent of schools is retiring this year in June. There's been a, do you need to,
Thanks.
I just don't know if that's the camera. Do you need help with that?
No, we're fine,
Okay.
thanks. Thanks, Chris.
The superintendent of schools is retiring. There's been a search committee is being formed, 3 members of different boards from each town, the elementary school, the supervision school. They've also asked for citizens, one citizen from each town that's not involved in that to come up. We had 3 different people came in and that spoke and asked for that, or were recommended by committees. Actually, a few more than that, if you include recommendations. But we've spoken, and my recommendation for that appointment is John Wichkowski. He sits on the Board of Finance now. He's agreed to this position. I think his wife was on the planning, or on the school board for 6 years anyway. I think John will serve us well in a selection committee. That's all that is for, is just a selection of the superintendent. So if you both agree with that.
I'm good.
Yep, me too.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, we do.
I'd like to make a motion to have John Wichkowski serve as the search committee for superintendent.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is to discuss the traffic assessment and possible solution to Union Spring Street's intersection. We've been doing an awful lot of work to review the area, to look at the area, spoken with a number of traffic calming experts. Most of whatever we're going to do there is probably going to involve reconstruction of some sort, just the way that intersection is built. People are going to swoop around that corner without anything. So what I'm suggesting that we do is put a stop sign up there for now, until we can either come up with some funds or get an actual study done of that intersection. The stop sign is, as we've spoken about, is not always considered the best traffic calming solution, but in this instance, it will, we'll put some enforcement out there for a little while, remind people that it's actually happening. It's there, and and should slow people down coming around that corner and keep people on the road coming around that corner. So for at least for a temporary, it may be permanent, but we'll do some more studying, but to get a solution up there now, I'm suggesting that we do that.
It's a decent start.
You know,
We need something. People just drive too bloody fast.
well, that's all over the place.
I know.
I don't think we don't have to take any action on that. I'll just move that forward.
Okay.
The next item is estuary update, and that's you, Bill.
Okay, very quickly. For those of you that aren't aware, I'm the town representative on the board of directors for the estuary. And I asked for a little time just to give a quick update. We've got about 14 members on the board for the estuary. We are each required to serve on 2 committees. So they have me on finance, and I also chair the nominating committee. That was easier than fundraising. We, within the last 30 days, had 2 4-hour strategic planning sessions. These were done in the evening. And they were good ones, exhausting but really good. What that contributes to is an effort by the estuary to reinvent itself, trying to improve the quality of customer service, products that are provided to the elderly in the 9-town region. So we've got quite a ways to go. Part of what has to happen is a fundraising campaign that will generate the cash necessary to renovate the physical plant of the estuary in Saybrook. So there's a lot of work there, and the board is entertaining proposals from various vendors on how they would do that for us. The other thing that I need to do a little bit of research on is determining just how familiar our elderly are with the estuary, what it does for them, services provided. A common assumption is, oh yeah, it's great, everybody knows about it. Well, I ain't so sure of that. I don't think that's the case. Yes, we get these monthly brochures, which thanks to you, Angus, we can put over on the table. So that's one of the things that has to happen. And for now, that's all I've got.
Okay. Thanks for your efforts on that. It's an important organization. They do provide quite a bit of service for our citizens. Item 7 brings us right up to what we just added to the commission, is to address the minutes from February 26th. I spoke with the town clerk. Once we actually accepted those minutes, she stated that we cannot go back and correct them once they're accepted. What she suggested is that the only option to get that motion on the record is to make the motion again and to vote it on it as we did. So I made good notes of what the specific motion was. So if you're inclined to just go ahead and do that, then we can just go through that and get that right on the record.
Informally, I make a motion that the members of the Board of Selectmen speak with each of the candidates for consideration for appointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission as an alternate member, whether they do that in person, via email, telephonically. So that's the motion.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we have audience of citizens and any other business to come before the board. I think we're going to do any other business first because it's relatively, it's pretty important. I received a letter yesterday from our selectman, Bill Burdick, a letter of resignation. He's decided to resign my position as a member of the Board of Selectmen in Deep River effective April 1, 2019. Thoroughly enjoyed working with you and Dwayne since my election to the position of selectman. For personal health reasons and for my family, I must slow things down a bit. Finally, and only with your approval, I would be honored to continue in my role as a representative of the town of Deep River 2 and member of the Estuary Board of Directors. Thank you very much for the opportunity to serve the town of Deep River and to work for and with you. Bill brought this in yesterday afternoon. Obviously it's with regret that I would suggest that we accept this resignation, but of course, until you give me a resignation from the Estuary Board or your time limits.
You're slowing down, like 4-hour meetings now.
That was a hard decision, by the way. I love working for this town,
Mhm.
working for and with you guys.
Yeah,
And also even more especially with this wonderful group sitting around the table here. But I don't want a repeat of what happened to me in February
Mhm.
2018, going under the knife for 5 hours to fix 4 blockages, just because of lousy diet, rheumatoid arthritis, among other things. So, thank you.
well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your service. And I'll shake your hand on April 1st. Done with that, because still got work to do.
He's trying to get rid of me.
No,
Unfortunately, we have experience with vacancies on the Board of Selectmen recently. And what the process is through state statute is we have 30 days to appoint a selectman to replace you. As soon as Amy Winchell, our town clerk, received this, she sent it out to both town committees. We've already received a recommendation for selectmen from the Republican Town Committee, which is the seat that's being vacated, so that is more than likely the way we will go. But I think that the process really to give people time to digest and to contact us and things like that, I think we will call a special meeting from the Board of Selectmen for for April 1st at 6 o'clock. And at that meeting, we can discuss the suggested appointment and also any others that may come in. And if we have to, we can go into executive session where no decisions will be made, but just because we're discussing personnel, we can go into that. And we'll come out and either make a decision or the decision may be to just go until the next selectmen's meeting. So we've got 30 days and Jim Wilson has been recommended by the Republican Town Committee, and I'm perfectly happy with that, but we'll act on that when the vacancy comes available. So that's that. Third item was P&Z makeup. I think you guys are aware, just so everyone else is aware, I've spoken with everyone except for one of our people that have expressed interest. I hope that I can do that sometime in the next week or so. I've emailed everyone information about our contact information for each of the applicants, and we will talk about that further when we next meet. But while we're on planning and zoning, I wanted to update you as well. I have continued the research on what the counties, Middlesex and New London County, have done. We're just really not quite finished with New London County's makeup of their boards. As expected, we're in the middle, certainly in the middle in Middlesex County, where ours are a little bit bigger than the New London County, but those towns are our size or smaller. So we're not in a position yet to make a report to you, but that's where we are with that. The other two things are just items. On my way here, I noticed that Little League is out practicing for spring training, so that means spring is almost here, so thumbs up for that. And thinking about Little League, we're going to be installing bleachers up at Flatwood Park. So those are town updates. Anything, and that's it for me. Any other business from you guys?
anything more on the Winthrop Parade?
Winthrop Parade is on. We just got that notification from the state. Yeah, they were happy, so that's all fine.
Cool.
John?
Excellent.
The research you were talking about was about the size of
The
planning.
size, yeah, whether it's 7, 9, 5. 5 is very common in London County, at least what I've seen so far. 7, 5, and 9 are kind of scattered about Middlesex County.
My only comment is that expanding the membership certainly gives a broader view. It also, when interest wanes, leaves yourself open to more difficulty in assembling a quorum.
We'll take all that into consideration. I'm just still compiling information. We'll discuss it either at the next meeting or the following meeting, but I'll have a good report at that time. Is there anything else from there?
Yes, I have a few things.
Good.
When I addressed you about the Veterans Green, I left out two very, very important things. We're also looking for servicemen and women who are on active duty right now. And we're also looking for servicemen and women who are in the reserves, so that we can let them know what's going on, so when they get discharged, they will let us know, get their name on the brick and stuff.
Okay.
Also concerning the paving of Route 80, there are two very, very bad spots. There's been several accidents there in the last few years. One is right at the very, very top of the hill, as you go past the transfer station. The water runs over that road there and it ices up. There was a very bad accident there this last fall. Somebody spun out, went across somebody's lawn, took down the telephone pole, and we were out, power out in Winthrop for, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours. So
Yeah.
maybe you could bring that to the
Absolutely.
attention.
I've already highlighted about the one over there where the same thing happens over at the
Very
ambulance,
good.
yeah.
We gotta do something with that one by the ambulance bar
Yep.
on John Dewey's property.
Yeah.
Also, I see a lot of white lines out on Westbrook Road. What's going on?
Well, we're hoping to do a little paving, patching.
Any chance, I've talked to you, I've talked to Dick Smith, to square that corner up at Bushy Hill and Westbrook Road, because it's the same problem with Union and Spring. Nobody slows down. They take that corner, they're, you know, you gotta square both those. You even don't have to make it a three-way stop, because I know you guys are in favor of that, but at least if you square that corner up, you're gonna make the people slow down.
Okay,
You know, look into that, please.
I will.
What are we doing on Westbrook Road? We doing some just patching, or are we gonna be doing?
We're gonna do a little bit of both. Our budget this year is getting pretty pinched by the schools, and where we probably would have straight up paved a bunch more, we're gonna do a good sections where it absolutely needs it, and then we'll do some patches as well.
Yeah, that section between Cabon's house, which is 152 and Acorn, that is very, very bad.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, it's in bad shape.
yeah. And also one thing, I understand they've found the principal for John Winthrop, who'll be taking over July 1st.
You know what, I think I heard that too. I don't know who it is, but
His first name is Matthew. I
Yeah.
think he's got an Italian second name. I can't remember. But he's supposed to be taking over July 1st.
all right. Thanks, Rich.
Okay. Now, I'm glad to hear the grade is on.
Yeah, me too. It was kind of interesting. Most of those reports come just very bland, and this one says we're going to be doing construction, so you may have signs, you may have the whole list of all the things that may be up there, so.
It's my understanding that is the oldest continuous Memorial Day parade in the state of Connecticut.
Yeah, that's cool.
We had a couple of backup plans, so just.
Yep, yeah, we're good. Right, so right now, we're all good. Ben, did you have something?
Yeah, actually, it was brought to my attention that Kathy Jefferson, our zoning enforcement agent, will be retiring.
She has suggested that to me, yeah.
Yeah, so I was just inquiring as to what the hiring process will be.
I'm looking into that. We're going to be advertising probably pretty soon, because zoning enforcement officers in the area have kind of been jumping from one town to the next. There's not a whole lot of experienced people in this area that I'm aware of. So we're going to have to advertise the position, and I believe once we get some responses, we'll go through the process of hiring them. I'm doing some research right now. I believe that the planning and zoning is directly involved in that hiring.
Yeah, I was just wondering what the process is.
As soon as I know, I'll let you know.
Okay.
I haven't- I
She's
haven't
more
gone
than
through-
zoning enforcement for Deep River, and she's zoning enforcement for.
She's zoning
And Killingworth.
in Killingworth as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe we should talk to Killingworth on this.
She's not retiring from Killingworth.
She's not retiring from Killingworth?
No.
Oh, okay. Just,
Yeah, I've actually been trying to communicate with a couple of other towns if we could both hire someone together. We might be able to get a full-time person, which we might be able to attract someone with a little more experience. But I have yet to find a town that wants to share that cost and that kind of thing, so.
Is that halftime now? What is it?
Right now, it's, I think 12 hours a week. Yeah. Jane?
The zoning enforcement officer technically works for the planning and zoning commission.
Correct, which is why I think that the Planning and
So-
Zoning Commission is involved in the hiring process.
Right, but I looked at a website that is called the Connecticut Association of Zoning Enforcement Officials. And there are two towns, Torrington and Brooklyn, that are advertising there. And what they do is they list all the responsibilities and then what they want in terms of qualifications. And so I think that that's something that planning and zoning has to compile, a list of what are the responsibilities going to be. I would love to have somebody with planning experience, because I think Deep River has just grown like Topsy in any kind of direction that, seems to occur. But I have a feeling that to get somebody with planning experience as well is going to be really tough. So what I would like, I guess maybe it has to go to the Board of Finance at some point to try to put in the budget to hire a consulting firm to do some planning for the town of Deep River. I don't think the conservation plan and development is really enough. I think we really, and I have
So,
no
yeah,
idea how that would
And
work.
you were pretty involved in the preparation of the POCD, right?
Yeah.
And you've been on the commission for a pretty long time?
I have geologic experience, but not planning.
Yeah.
And so.
No, I was just
would-
more referring to the nature of how Deep River has moved forward in the past many years. You've been involved in all of that, so
Right,
it's good
but
that
I
you
think
still
it
are,
would
yeah.
be- But it would be, I don't know how the Board of Finance works, whether it's something that you would suggest to them, and I don't know if there's money in a future
Well,
budget.
that's what it would cost. We'd have to do some exploration as to whether or not we can afford and pay for a town planner as well, or a consultant. I understand a consulting.
So I don't
yeah.
think we can get somebody.
What we're hoping for is the River COG, the Council of Governments, that Deep River participates in, is working hard to hire a regional planner. Someone who works with all of the towns around who do not have the ability to hire their own. And we would hopefully work through them towards that goal. Yes, it would. And if we are unable to find someone to replace Kathy when she leaves, then, as has happened in Westbrook, Clinton, many of the towns that are in part of the River COG lose their zoning enforcement officer and can't replace them in time. The River COG we pay for the service, but they supply planners to come over and take care of that role in the time that we don't have someone of our own. So, it's time for us to look into advertising now that Kathy's making that decision. And we'll move forward according to the rules and according to how the planning and zoning wants to move forward.
Yeah, if we can make a list the way the other, like Torrington and Brooklyn have, then we could at least advertise on that website that is dedicated, the Connecticut Association of Zoning Enforcement Officials.
Good job.
I don't know how, I just don't want it done by word of mouth.
No, you can't do that. It's a town job. It's got to be advertised. It's got to be posted, all those kind of things. And, that we've got to reach out beyond the local area, I believe, because I don't believe there's a whole lot of people here that are available for this
It might be
position.
better to have somebody that is not a resident.
Whether they're a resident or not, I'm just referring to the local area. The zoning enforcement officer from Clinton moved to Westbrook. The zoning enforcement from Westbrook moved to Killingworth. They're bouncing around, kind of eating each other's lunch by hiring each other's zoning enforcement officers. I'd like to see if we can find someone who's. I actually have spoken to River COG already about some of the universities who have students who are coming out of school with planning or that kind of an education, and see maybe it would involve some on-the-job training. So I'm a little concerned about that, but at the same time they would come with some education. So there's a lot of different ways that we can approach it, and a lot of different places that we can advertise. So
Education is always good.
I believe that is correct. Anyone else? Go ahead.
I would just like to thank Bill for his service.
Zoning enforcement officer.
Yeah. How would you? There's no pressure there. If there's nothing else, we'll call for it.
Sorry, I have some things, sort of a little laundry list, so bear with me, but I'm wondering if the Board of Selectmen would consider having a recording secretary for their meetings?
We are trying to figure that out.
Okay, great.
I'm not very comfortable with this. So.
Could you talk a little bit more about the process for replacing Selectman Burdick, how that works?
Sure.
Just
There's
for
the statute allows for, or calls for the filling of vacancy in the office of first selectman or selectman. When a vacancy occurs in the office of first selectman or in the office of selectman, it shall be filled within 30 days after the day of its occurrence by the remaining members of the Board of Selectmen. Said remaining members may appoint one of themselves to fill a vacancy in the office of the first selectman, if they so desire, and they shall then fill the ensuing vacancy of the office of selectman as herein provided. If such a vacancy in the office of first selectman or selectman is not filled within 30 days after the day of its occurrence, the town clerk shall, within 10 days thereafter, notify the elective officers enrolled in the same political party as the first selectman or selectman, as the case may be, who vacated the office, or all elective town officers if such first selectman or selectman who vacated the office was not enrolled with a political party, and should be filed with by such elective town officers within 60 days after its occurrence. Any person so appointed shall serve for the portion of the term remaining unexpired or until a special election called as hereinafter provided upon the petition of a number of electors in the town equal to 5% of the names on the last completed registry list thereof, but not fewer than 50 such electors. So what we did in the past one, which fell within the statutes, is we reached out to the party of the vacant seat. They made it a recommendation, and that's how we moved forward. If in fact 5% of the names of the 5% of the population of registered voters signs a petition, we can push it to an election. But I don't know if that's what we want to do. But that's one of the reasons why we hold off a little bit and see before, and we'll make some decisions there. At the next selectmen's meeting, we'll discuss if anyone else has come forward, if anyone else has been put forward by any of the towns. And then we'll either make an appointment at that meeting or wait until the next selectmen's meeting and make it then. But I think it's important that we have a full board as quickly as we can.
Especially at budget time.
Mm-hmm.
Question.
Especially at budget time. Go ahead.
Question, will that person appointed then run for election in November?
That's up to him.
Well, I mean, there will be
Yeah.
in next November.
Yes.
There will be an election for that position. So
Yes, there
this
will.
is a 6 or 7 month
Yep.
time period.
Yep.
Okay.
That's correct.
He or she.
And then just the last thing, can you shed light on the special meeting that's happening on Thursday for inland wetlands?
I don't know too much about it other than there was a notice of violation that went out on a property up in Winthrop. I was under the impression that property was in fact working with the wetlands enforcement officer towards satisfying their complaints. I was notified the day of that it was going out. So and as the same with planning and zoning, I don't have any voice over that. They act
Right,
accordingly. I don't know.
Because it appears as that a cease and desist was already issued.
It was issued about a year ago, I think. I'm not sure of the timing, but it was quite a while ago. And as I said, I was under the understanding, because I went up to the property with the wetlands enforcement officer and the DEP, and I know that, or I've been told that the DEP permit is in place, has just not been issued yet. or it hasn't been delivered yet. I'm not sure about that, but that the Wetlands Commission was not satisfied with the activity that's going on. Didn't think the repairs to whatever work they wanted to have done, they didn't think was happening fast enough, so they issued another cease and desist. That's all I know about it.
So
Thursday night, there's a meeting here.
Right, is it in your decision? I don't understand how it works.
I don't either, with a cease and desist. I'm not sure what that happens. It's a public hearing to talk about it and try to come up with some sort of a solution that satisfies that satisfies the Wetlands Commission. Gus?
I got a question about the history of the Board of Selectmen after the passing of Dick Smith. So who was like here, I just can't remember who was, I know it was Dick and you, and then I can't know who the.
Dave Oliver.
Dave Oliver was the other selectman.
It was Dick, it was Dick,
How come he's not still?
Because he did not run last November. Bill ran.
Oh, okay. That's why I was confused.
And I filled a vacancy at that point.
Yes,
And
yeah,
then I ran in November.
right.
Okay, it's been a while, huh?
Time go by fast.
It does.
Dick will be gone, what, 3 years?
3 years soon, right?
March.
3 years yesterday.
Yesterday.
3 years yesterday.
Wow.
How about that? That was a lousy day.
It was a Good Friday, but it wasn't a Good Friday.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Jane?
You said that the Republican Town Committee, and I'm a Republican, but they didn't contact me,
Are you
but,
on the committee?
no, but I.
That's probably
you know,
why.
Did they didn't ask anyone, any Republicans in Patton, you don't know?
Jane, they didn't contact me either.
But the name that they came up with is the same name that you came up with for planning and zoning.
Correct.
Popular guy.
Well, you can't be on both.
That's correct, too.
Do you know if he has a preference?
I do. I think if you would like to speak, Jim Olson. I know that
Put you on the spot, Jim.
my preference, I'm actually very happy to have him put forward. I'm very pleased and look forward to working with Jim.
No, I was on the Deep River Board of Education and R4 at the same time for a total of 17, I think 16, 17, 18 years. And
That's a tough one.
yeah, that's a thankless job. And I didn't elect to run for re-election and resign from those. And I've been kind of just settling back a little bit with things at work, and I just recently early retired from Wheeling. So I have time on my hands, and I knew that there was a vacancy on planning and zoning. So I suggested my name for that. And then the opportunity just came up recently, very recently, with Bill deciding to do what he did, and the search committee or the Republican Town Committee reached out to me and asked if I'd be willing to do that. And I said, well, yes, but being that I was on the list for planning and zoning, I needed the two to separate at some point. So I will be pursuing the selectman's spot versus the planning and zoning spot.
Well, look forward to seeing you.
Thank you, thank you.
So does that mean you have to forego your license plate?
No, I'm still applying. I'm still
retired.
Yep.
Are you taking charters now, Jim?
I'll take requests.
That's what I want.
Anyone else? Then we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
Good evening, this is the regular meeting, regular March meeting, March 2019 of the Deep River Board of Finance. Let us do the approval of the regular meeting in February.
As well as, and you guys really haven't seen them because they just say that we met and who was here, the workshop minutes of the 19th, the 12th, and the 5th.
Okay,
That's all they are.
okay, I have,
That's literally all they say.
since they are submitted to the
Yeah, they are
chairman,
submitted.
or the town clerk, you wish to have them approved.
I'm supposing that they should be, but
I have no, unless anyone wants to be resistant. Does anyone wish to raise an objection, or
that's
can
the way
we
they
vote?
read. Discussion of the budget.
Discussion of fiscal year 2019-2020 budget meeting ended at X
Whatever
PM.
time, yeah. You know, so, I mean, that's all
That
they
was
say
it.
each time, yeah.
I move acceptance.
Thank you. That's a draft one, but
I'll
yeah.
second.
By proclamation. All in favor of accepting all of the minutes that, and they've been sent to us, so
Yep.
please say aye.
Aye.
Audience of citizens. Seeing none, we will move on. Tommy, who is not here, has presented us a budget. Let's see. It would appear, in my mind, we should be looking at dollars available to meet town expenditures. It looks like there's $5.4 million available, so that seems like an adequate sum, but I do not know how to put it into a context. Anyone have any questions for Tom, who is not here? We can send them via the air.
Put it into the context of last year, when we were sweating out whether we were gonna get that state money.
An excellent point, an excellent point. And the state monies continue to come in with some degree of regularity, and the following is, I should withhold the following, but those that I've seen coming in seem to be a little bit higher than what we have put in the budget on a couple of occasions. I mean, and I should be held to a higher standard than making generic statements like that. But they are not big numbers, but they're just slightly higher. So. All right, recommendation of selectmen.
I don't think we have any recommendations per se, just the information that we're going to be scheduling the town meeting that directly affects us, or this board, is the $68,000 from the, that the MBR requirements are coming. I want to schedule that meeting to authorize us to refund that money, or put that money into the Deep River Elementary School budget if we fail in our second attempt for the waiver. And the only reason I want to do that now is because I'm afraid as we get closer and closer to June, we will run out of time to go through the process of the town meeting and vote. It needs to be very clear to everyone involved that that money won't go to them until we've exhausted every opportunity we can to not put it there. But I do want to have the ability so we can work. And we talked about all this at some
Right,
workshops.
but just one quick question. If they gave the money back to us, why do we need a town meeting to give it back to them?
It's not the same money. The money they gave us back was the money from the previous fiscal year.
Okay, so it's a
This
different
money,
year.
this money is money that we did not put in the budget originally for this 18-19 budget. When we budgeted it,
Okay.
remember they came in and everybody was so happy, they'd worked so hard and they had lost a teacher, they didn't replace that teacher and everything was good and we saved a bunch of money.
Well, you answered my question, it's not the same money, yes.
It's not the same money. So that, we're gonna schedule that, I think, sometime within the next 10 days, we'll have that town meeting. Other than that, I think, I know Bud and I talked about something, but I got caught up in a couple of things right before the meeting, and I can't remember what we might have been talking about.
Let's stay with the recommendation. It's a contingent recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay. It is contingent the way you phrased it. If we do not get a waiver,
Right.
or the waiver is turned down. It actually is a two-term, is the earlier of not getting a waiver or the waiver being signed, or June 30th, right? If that
Correct.
waiver continues into the next year, we would place it there because we have to
No,
meet
it's- yeah.
this fiscal year.
Well, yes, that's true, but I'll tell you, I would argue with them, if that argument is still taking place, I would ask the state to allow for us to continue the discussion without suffering the penalty until they say no. So,
Okay.
we'll try, but yes, I think that's important, when we will put that in the meeting, it will say either the
Resolution of a request.
the denial of the request of the waiver, or June 30th, whichever comes first, yeah.
The other one we discussed is that we as a town have an obligation to file with the state who our auditors will
That's
be
it,
for the
yep.
following fiscal year. I open it to the board, but I'm going to suggest that we continue what is our assumption, that we will stay with Maloney instead.
That's
Angus
my
actually has to sign something and send it to the state. We can vote on it, or unless anyone wishes to raise a resistance, it seems implied, we've talked about it enough. So they're going to come and talk to us about the audit they just completed. And that will take place when Angus and I get a copy of the final audit. And you will get a copy of the same final audit. So, and certainly with the resolutions of the issues that they have raised on the cafeteria and construction, that will be pleasant. So, all right, they are the two recommendations of the selectmen.
Yeah.
If they are recommendations or comments, okay, cool. Anyone have any questions for the selectmen while we're sitting here? All right. Correspondence. Is anyone writing to us, Ms. Larkin?
No,
No? Sad.
I know, I'm sorry. But they're attending the workshops.
They're attending the workshops, and
That
that is
matters.
good, okay.
Nobody writes to anybody anymore.
You
Knew it.
you are absolutely
I'll send it
correct. I am no longer in the dating pool, but my daughter who is, they tell me that it is a texting world if you are seeking a mate now. So, I don't know. It's a
Well, I'm
whole
sure there's a
different-
texting world, but it's
It
not a
is
writing world.
It is a whole different world out there we live in. So. Correspondence, we have none, we've already agreed. Monthly budget reports, does anyone have any concerns in the report? That was rather straightforward and not particularly surprising. Anyone? Have anything they wish to raise?
I want to talk about revenues for just a moment.
Revenues are good.
We're a little bit, we're 9% out at this point in the year, which is 3 months to go. Not terrible. Part of that, a major part of that is new borrowing, which we're not going to do.
We are not going to do.
So if you take that out of the equation, we're really more like 6% out or so, which is pretty good, I think, at this point. I think one question I would have is, where does that other 6% come from? Is there a supplement of bills that are still to go out or something
There's
like
another
that?
substantial check coming from the state regarding the ECS fund. And I think that'll probably get us right in there.
And we're still waiting for some of our highway money. Have we gotten our second
We
highway?
still have another $100,000 coming from highway too. So between those two, we're looking at, well, shoot, probably $1,600,000. So,
That would take care of a lot.
I think it will.
All of it, okay. Then I'm good. Thanks, Angus.
Tax revenues seem to be coming in from what I've been following, so
They're doing great, yeah.
they're doing great. All right, any other business that anyone wishes to raise? We're having our workshops. Folks are coming into our workshops. We are talking to other people. We are talking to ourselves, so those who might be interested, we are moving forward with our budget. These are difficult times. Does, sadness in my heart, I think that's the end of our meeting. Does
One of the
anyone
short
wish,
ones.
does anyone wish to overrule that observation? So,
That's near a record.
I think that is near a
Not-
record.
Not quite.
Not quite?
The voting of the mill rate is the shortest meeting, typically. Typically, yeah.
That is true, so we'll,
I misspoke on that money, it's closer to 900,000. Just kidding, yeah.
You take away the borrow, add 900,000, we're
it is one of
virtually
the,
there.
More coming, the machine is smarter than I am.
are we expecting this?
No, I promised everyone I would get these to you. So. And I will email them out as well.
Could we have, here I am, oh, right, Mike. Could we have an estimate of what the two selectmen, think is the expected Deep River Regional School increase?
I'll defer to Dwayne, he's been paying attention, but my read of that is about 400,000.
Increase in the town?
I believe that's the case.
I thought you and I, that's what the number
I
we had
know.
talked about before.
I
I
know.
thought
I
you and
spent
I
a
had
long-
come closer to 100 something.
I spent a long time talking to Michelle this morning. If you look at the last page on this, I think it tells us that we're at about 400 and change.
That's the elementary school, or is that Region 4?
That's Region 4.
What it says, last page, $448,000.
Right.
Is that
Yeah,
for
you and I spent a long time looking around at this and thought we had found something else, but I'm, after speaking with Michelle, and it kind of reiterates what Dwayne told us last time we met, those are the numbers, yeah, so.
There's the public hearing Monday night, 7 o'clock, to go over the Region 4 budget at John Winthrop. So if anyone wants to go and comment for, against, or whatever.
My speaking with Michelle is I offered her a couple of thoughts on some of the things, like the grounds maintenance and how to fund some of that, and we'll see how that goes over. She believes there is still room to cut, but there's a considerable resistance on the board to making any more cuts. So I'm not sure if that plays into your observations.
The problem is that it's such drastic changes between the other two towns. You know, us, we're going up, Chester's going up, and Essex is going way down.
By number of students, you know.
Yeah.
Plus the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, Essex carries the vote. We hate to admit it, but they carry the vote every year, so
Well,
people are happy.
there is the hope that Chester's getting hit so hard that they come out strong against, but I doubt that's gonna happen.
Chester's 388,000 up. And we're 448. Essex is down 314.
Wow.
That's if these numbers are the same as last week.
Mhm.
What time's the meeting Monday night?
7 o'clock, Monday night.
And that's at John Winthrop Middle School,
Yes,
the library.
yes.
So Monday is what's the date?
April Fool's Day.
Is that prophetic?
That is a public
Let's hope.
hearing.
Yes, that's a public
They'll
hearing.
present the budget to everyone. Then it goes to referendum after that, I believe.
I think that's right. I think there's room.
They adjourn to.
Well, after.
Their referendum is May 7.
Yes. So
I believe that there is another meeting tentatively scheduled, depending on the public hearing. They left themselves another meeting to review the budget after this public hearing. You know, it's just too much money for Deep River.
How many people do we have on that board? Are they all towns equally divided amongst the people on the
Yes,
board?
3. 3 people from each town.
And are they principally always parents of kids in school?
No.
No,
No?
I would guess that the majority might be. I know
I think
Deep
the
River,
majority
Deep
is-
River has 2 out of 3, right?
2 out of 3, yes. Jane does not have children,
Right.
Ricky and
Yeah.
Michelle do.
Yeah.
I tend to find once their kids graduate, they get off.
Chester. I don't know.
I don't know.
Does Ricky still have children in school?
Yes. Essex has, definitely, all 3 of them have children in the school.
Yeah.
Just an observation, I think it would behoove each town to be a little bit more inclusive in the composition of their board, so it's not all parents of kids who look at the budget from a restricted point of view, I think. I think that the town should pick a much more multi-generational board.
Well, you run for Board of
Yeah,
Education.
it's the people that wanna
It's
step up
not-
and run for it.
It's not,
That's right.
it's not a picked position, it's you
Elected.
Run
You-
for
it's an
election.
elected position.
Selected.
It is a difficult committee to sit on too. That commission is time consuming, mind consuming. It's
6-year terms.
It's a difficult.
Yeah, but it's an enormous budget
Oh,
driving.
yeah.
No question about that, 75% of our budget. And the new money that's come into Deep River's budget from K through 12 is something like over $1 million in the last 5 years, 6 years.
What does that mean?
That's new money. That's money that, the increase from year to year. You know, so this year.
Spend money?
No, new money into the budget. The budget increased over $1
More
million.
more than $1 million in 5 years.
No, not in new money. You know, it's, the budget itself is much more, but the increases, at least the numbers that I have
Okay.
show that. I'll print them out and give them to you.
We're
at the
talking
next
just
workshop.
our,
Our portion
This year
of,
to last year.
of the increases. But that's, you know, how many mil is that?
Every time they go up 400,000, it's almost a million.
It's almost a mill.
It's almost a mill, yeah.
And this
So
year
take
it's almost a
Region
mil.
4 and the elementary school, there's a mill,
There's a mill.
Yeah.
if not above a mill.
Yeah, oh no, we're at a mil, just on the education.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't too many years ago, and don't ask me what year they went up over, it's 420,000 or something like that.
Yeah, I'll check my numbers. I might
It was
not be
4,
remembering
5, 6
correctly.
years ago. And other years they've gone up some, not that high, but
But they don't come in flat ever.
no,
It's always
what
up a
it
little
does
bit.
to a deeper, my point is what it does to a Deep River budget of, over those years, 15 to 17 million, you're adding a $500,000, another couple 100,000, 175, another 400,000. Pretty soon you're up $1 million, and that, to us, that's a large percentage of Deep River's budget.
Yeah.
It's not a large percentage perhaps of the Region 4 budget, but it's a huge percentage of our Deep River budget, which hovers in that 16 million range, 17 million.
It's kept us down or it's not even it's kept us down, but it's kept us from improving infrastructure and doing things that we've been trying to do. And it will do that again this year. I just can't see we're gonna have to just cut some capital projects or delay some capital projects.
Such a big impact this year is because the Essex enrollment has dropped. And Deep River and Chester enrollment has increased, and so that's where we're compounding the increases even bigger this year.
Our enrollment actually has increased or relatively increased?
Ours has gone up a little on the ADM, according to the numbers that they provided us. You know, we're up,
Yeah, we're up by 1%.
yeah,
And I guess I'm just curious,
1.34%.
That ADM, well, I think I understand, but it's relative numbers, right? We may have fewer kids, but relative to the others, and that was my question, are we absolutely up or down?
Yeah, but it's the same pie being sliced among
It's just being
fewer
sliced differently.
students, yeah, it's
Exactly.
being-
That's right.
so each student has a bigger slice.
All right, well,
All right, so April 1st, Monday, April 1st, 7 o'clock at John Winthrop Middle School is the Region 4 public hearing. The R4 town meeting is May 6th. Why do I have
what was
that?
your introductory phrase?
That
Yeah,
sounds- that
the
sounds
public hearing is April 1st. The R4 town meeting is May
What
6th.
is R4?
Region 4.
Got it, got it.
The Region 4 referendum
The next
is May 7th, noon to 8, the same day as the town budget hearing, May 7th, 7:30 upstairs, and May 20th is the annual town meeting upstairs.
Those two often overlap.
Yep. Yep.
I was mistaken, it was over $2 million.
I thought it was over 2 million, yes. And over 2 million over what period? 2 years?
2014 to including this year,
This year as in 19 or this year as in 18?
1920.
Yeah,
19,
I don't like 3 years ago, I brought
Includes this year's
up
I'm
increase.
sorry, we are in 20 this year, aren't we?
4 years, we spent,
No.
we've gone up $1 million.
We are in it, but we are
Yeah.
preparing.
Like 3 years.
I think.
It's actually
Angus
since
is adding that.
16, 17.
188, did you know?
Yes, that's correct.
You are at?
That is in that 2 million.
Okay.
All right, that brings us back to where we started.
To go.
Do I hear an,
Make motion for adjournment,
Recommend.
if that's what you're asking?
Are you gonna send out those numbers?
The dates are
Second.
right here. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're right in the minutes. I copied them in, so everybody can see. Thank you.
Do we,
First, second.
did we still keep our record, not this one of our shortest meetings, or?
Now I'll have
did
to
my
go back
question-
and look.
Did my question actually put us over?
We're now
It's
over.
over.
Sorry. I think about 15 minutes is the shortest of the meeting.
All right, I have a recommendation for adjournment. I seem to have smiles on the faces of voters. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Say, uh-oh, Bill's about to
Now,
keep
I had
us
a
in
question.
business.
Aw, you just
All
got
right.
me here.
Let's go for it.
I had to slow it up.
All right.
I wasn't elected for nothing. Go for it.
Elections. They're out of money. They have 5.82 left for salaries.
Balance remaining. Yep, they've got $3,000 left.
In 2 referendums.
And
Or 2.
one referendum.
And one town hearing, town meeting.
Yep,
Well, they're behind in printing expenses, but we've all talked about this 1,000 times.
Yep.
That's kind of here. But their salaries, they got 5.8% left.
yep.
And they got a lot of work coming up yet.
So between now and the next budget?
Well, the referendum will cost about $1,500, $2,000.
referendum?
Well, that's right, it should be less than that.
New date.
So
New date.
that's,
8-hour day.
so that keeps us with another 1,000 for miscellaneous and the
Well,
town.
you've got the regional 4.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the R4
Region
is
four
the
We've
referendum.
got our
referendum.
own budget coming up.
And
And
that,
then
unless,
upstairs.
Upstairs,
unless we decide otherwise, that'll be upstairs.
If we're
But
fortunate.
they'll be here, but, you know, we may decide otherwise. We'll see where this budget comes out. If this budget comes out to where we think it should go to.
Well, I
referendum,
just
send it.
think they're awful far behind right now. It's like,
I know. Well, what happened is we budgeted them tightly because we were just messing around with trying to figure out what was real. We budgeted them tight, and then the recount for the, in the national elections, pushed them pretty hard, put a lot of pressure on their budget. So maybe we budgeted too tight for that. But I think they're gonna be okay.
okay, so a recount cost us,
Cost us at least a couple of days worth of work.
all right. Now I'm done.
And our registrars
Oh, he's
are hourly, correct? We do not pay them on a salary.
Right.
We've talked about it.
Yep.
Well, registers, they work by the hour. They're not-
Correct.
Yeah,
They're not
that's what
salaried, so,
Not in this town.
no, I understand that.
There's an appeal to put them on a salary, but,
Yes,
especially if
there
they go over, but yes, okay.
I don't think they're going to go over, within the budget line, you know, the item itself. The individual lines may, but I think they'll be okay within the budget.
All right, everyone, we're there.
Okay.
All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.